You feel, Staffy, what's been your view on the situation at Chelsea? I want to read you something that Chelsea again today briefed to the media. Their PR on this it has been maybe one of the strongest I've seen. Their quote, I want to quote them today. They have said that Chelsea are confident that Enzo Maresca is the perfect candidate to make them an elite force in England and Europe for the coming years. Like, what do you make of this, Staffy? His appointment at Chelsea Football Club.
They're either the smartest people on earth or the dumbest people on earth. Because listen, we spoke about this sometime last week. I think I was on the top 6. I think when we spoke about this, and I defended the idea of big clubs going for upcoming managers that haven't really done anything yet in terms of winning the major trophies. I don't like this narrative that you need to win something before you go to a big club, because I gave a lot of examples of managers who became elite, but at the time they weren't elite when they got appointed at big clubs. But to come out and say that you trust that he's going, what was it again? What was the exact wording, Terry?
Exact word. Well, this was what was written by the journalist, but this is. I spoke to people that give me sport who have a press desk where they get information from the clubs, and what they have told me is Chelsea have briefed multiple media outlets with the same kind of, pretty much same wording, which is very much that Chelsea are really confident that Enzo is the perfect candidate to get them back to the top of English and European football.
That's what I'm saying. That statement is big because, listen, I appreciate the fact that they just didn't go for the obvious name. See, how we were talking earlier, Lawless, about not knowing there's not a clear candidate for United, this, and that. Chelsea have went for a candidate that's not clear and obvious, but they think, based on the research that they've done on this guy, that he's the guy to take him back to glory, which is what I'm saying. They're either going to be geniuses or they're going to be idiots.
Do you trust them there? Like, because I was thinking when you said
that is what we need to say.
The smartest guys in the world, the dumbest guys in the world. I'm thinking if I put my money on it, I'm thinking Bowley and Chelsea. I'm going with the dumbest guys based on track record, you know
and that's what everyone would most likely go with. But you know how everyone, what is to say that everyone, every genius was once a madman, something like that. You're never proven to be a genius until you actually get to prove that you're a genius. And this is why we're going to have to wait and see what Chelsea do, because it is a risk. Let's just be very honest. I was with it, but it is a risk to bring in a manager that hasn't proven anything. So you have no really credentials in terms of success to fall back on, be like, well, this is what we've seen in terms of success, and this is why we're going for it. But they do have the belief. I do think he's a decent manager. I've seen the way he had Leicester play. I've seen his tactics, the way he speaks about his tactics. And obviously he's worked with Pep. So there's a lot of Pep disciples, that, as they like to call them, that have been decent in football. But to be the guy that takes him back to glory, I wouldn't bet my house on that. I'll be honest, because there is a lot of transitional managers. He could be a better manager than Poch, but you don't really need to do a lot to be better than Poch. Let's be honest. He could get these players to play better football than Poch, but it doesn't take a lot for a manager to get these players to play better football than Poch. The bar, in my opinion, is pretty low anyways. So I do think he's already going to do better than Poch. However, I don't think you can come out easily and say he's going to be the manager that leads us back to being on top of England in Europe, because there's so many things that need to go right for that to happen. And let's be honest, I thought that, what's his name, Graham Potter was a decent manager, but they've managed to make him look like a fool. I thought Poch is better than what I've seen from him, but they also managed to make him look like a fool. They also made decisions like hiring Lampard on a interim basis until they get another manager. They've made a lot of signings with players where I sat there and questioned. I'm like, really? Do you really think this player was worth that much? Do you really think he's going to be that elite in his position that you splashed that much on him? There's a few that worked out. I think Gusto is good. Caicedo obviously has been good. Some other players that you can look at and be like, good. But what if this manager is looked at the same way they looked at Mudryk? Because they looked at Mudryk and they were like, yeah, this guy's going to be one of the best wingers in the world. 2 years later, he's looking like a dud. So how do I trust that the same people that judge some of these players are not the same people that judge this manager? And that's where the worry is on. And I will be honest, that statement is putting them under a lot of pressure. And there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are in a lot of pressure as well, because people like Dunn and Ches and them, rightfully so, came out and called out Poch last season and saying it was more of Poch than the players, which I disagreed with. I felt like it should have been a shared blame between the two, because I still think a lot of these players are not good enough, even though some Chelsea fans will tell you other than that. But next season, they need to perform. They need to listen. I don't even want to say that they need to compete for top 4. They actually need to finish top 4, because the amount of Chelsea fans that think they should have been in top 4 if it wasn't for Poch holding them back and missing out by like 8 points. Now I'm expected for you to go and get these 8 points and actually finish top 4. Chelsea next season, I will be honest, Terry, will be a shit show. It will be an absolute shit show if they don't deliver right away. Because unfortunately for Maresca, he's coming in, and there's a lot of expectations already. And I don't know him personally to see and tell you how is he going to cope with that pressure. Chelsea next season might be a shit show again.
Yeah, it's going to be there. It's going to be very interesting. Chelsea, I think they're going to see the team I have my eyes on, because you're right. Like we said this the other day, like how sort of little patience their fan base has, and he has to hit the ground running. I don't think they're going to be wanting to get into October, even November times, and you know what I mean, they're like mid-table. He's going to have to do it, and big question marks. And I would call him more of a Pellegrini disciple than a Pep disciple. I think he actually worked more closely with Pellegrini than he did with Pep as well. So I think obviously he's got the Pep look, but again, so have I. So it doesn't make me qualified to be Chelsea.
You know what it is? There's another thing as well. The other Enzo, because they're saying that he said he can unlock Enzo. This Enzo thing, listen, we need an answer for Enzo next season. Enzo Fernandez, I'm talking about, the midfielder. Because we've seen Chelsea look better without Enzo in the end of the season. And I know this is going to rattle a lot of fans, but they have played better football without him being in the team. And a lot of one of the statements that came out after Poch got sacked is that he went to the ownership and he said he would rather sell Enzo this summer and he wants to play Conor Gallagher. And that ruffled a lot of feathers. If he doesn't unlock Enzo like he said, a lot of people will have to answer for crimes. And a lot of people like CB, that we know who's not a big fan of Enzo, will sit there and say, I told you so. And there's a lot of people like him in his camp as well. That's why I'm saying next year, Lawless is spot on. If they don't hit the ground running because of the pressure that they put on themselves, it's going to be an absolute shit show. And I'm more likely than not to put it on them not delivering right away, because I don't think this team is as good as most Chelsea fans think.
I think it's what's really interesting is I feel this is either going to be amazing, short, medium, long term, or absolutely disastrous. I feel like it's going to be one of those two things. I don't think this is going to be middle ground. The PR is too much, and all clubs do PR. My club does it. And when I say it's too much, it isn't what Chelsea are doing. It's the Kool-Aid I'm seeing being drunk. I think you can be excited about it, but remain level-headed. Some will say, Terry, you're being a hypocrite. You said you're excited about what your new ownership are trying to do. I am, but I've equally said I'm going to give it time to cook. I'm excited about what might come, but I'm not sitting here giddy going, we're back.